Hear me?
I'm ready to roll, Drew, when you are.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the November 16th, 2020 Clovis City Council meeting. Given the current shelter-in-place order covering the state of California and the social distancing guidelines issued by the federal, state, and local authorities, the city is implementing changes to participate in council meetings. The council chambers will be open to the public, but we will be implementing social distancing policies and will limit the number of people who may be in council chambers. The meeting will be webcast and accessed at the web address listed. Members of the public are encouraged to participate in meetings by accessing the webcast at the link shown, providing written comment at the same website, participating by phone, or coming to the city council meeting in person. We are practicing social distancing and can only accommodate 16 people at one time. I will call the meeting to order and ask Councilmember Ashbeck to lead us in the flag salute. Lynn.
Thanks, Drew. Please join me in saluting our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, justice for all.
Jose, you want to run with it?
Yes. Can the clerk please call the roll, please?
Councilmember Ashbeck?
Here.
Councilmember Flores?
Here.
Councilmember Wanatua? Here. Councilmember Whalen? Here. Mayor Bessinger?
Here. Jose, I think at this point you need to take over. This is too cumbersome.
Yes. Thank you. As you can tell, we have two council members that are not present. So from this point forward, as the Mayor Pro Tem, I'll be taking over the meeting. And at this point, Councilmember Whalen will read our next item, which is the presentation and proclamation. This presentation of proclamation declaring November 28, 2020, a small business Saturday.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Flores. This is a proclamation that's been signed by our Mayor, Drew Bessinger. It says, whereas the government of Clovis, well, actually, before I start reading it, can I have the representatives from the Clovis Chamber and Boot who are present just to kind of come up so we can see and recognize you as I read this proclamation? Thank you. Whereas the government of Clovis, California celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 30.7 small businesses in the United States. They represent 99.7% of all firms with paid employees in the United States, are responsible for 64.9% of net new jobs created from 2000 to 2018. And whereas small businesses employ 47.3% of the employees in the private sector in the United States, 62% of U.S. small businesses reported that they need to see consumer spending return to pre-COVID levels by the end of 2020 in order to stay in business. 65% of U.S. small business owners said it would be most helpful to their business to have their regulars return and start making purchases again. And 3/4 of U.S. consumers are currently looking for ways to shop small and support their community. And whereas 96% of consumers who shopped on Small Business Saturday agree that making shopping at small, independently owned supports their commitment to making purchases that have a positive social, economic, and environmental impact. And 97% of consumers who shopped on Small Business Saturday agree that small businesses are essential to their community. And whereas 95% of consumers who shopped on Small Business Saturday reported the day makes them want to shop or eat at small, independently owned businesses all year long, not just during the holiday season. And whereas Clovis, California supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities, and whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as the Small Business Saturday, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the City of Clovis, California hereby proclaims November 28th, 2020 as Small Business Saturday. I was reading all those facts and figures, and not only were they difficult for me to read, but they are really amazing figures that indicate the importance of our small businesses, not just here locally, but also nationwide. But certainly here locally, we have a real strong small business sector that is not just an important component of our local economy, but also a really important part of our fiber to the city of Clovis, because we love going to the small shops that are all over Clovis, but particularly in Old Town Clovis. So want to thank you all for being here to recognize this proclamation and the designation of the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. And if you had a representative that maybe wanted to make some comments related to it, we would really love to hear from that person. Hi, Cora.
Perfect. Thank you. Hi, I'm Cora Shipley, and I'm president of Boot. I own 2 businesses in Old Town Clovis, and I just want to thank all of you, City of Clovis, from the top down to the bottom, for all of your support that you have given us through the years, especially this past 9 months has been tough on every one of us. We haven't lost very many, but we have lost a couple, and that's a blow to Old Town. It's a blow to Clovis as a whole. So the rest of us are scratching with our fingernails, trying to hold on. But we do appreciate everything that you do for us, and we're just going to go forward and try to survive. And we will. We will. I tell everybody Clovis is a special place. Clovis is not California as a whole, and we will be here.
Thank you, Cora. Anybody else that wanted to say a few words?
Hi, I'm Diane Honeycutt with the Clovis Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for the invite here tonight and this proclamation. As Cora said, small business is everything in Old Town Clovis and the surrounding area. And as a chamber, we support all businesses, and we love our small businesses, our locally owned businesses, and we're here to support in any way that we can. So that's our mission for the statement, is to promote small business, to be here and support through everything that's going on right now. So it's very important to us as a chamber.
And I do want to put a plug in for 2 Enchanted Evenings, which is scheduled for this Thursday and Friday. Is that right?
Thursday and Friday, 5 to 8. We will have our beautiful lighted carriage both nights. There will not be refreshments served inside the stores, but there will be some available outside on the street, just like we do with farmers market. And we are, trying to observe all the protocols as far as social distancing, masks. We have sanitation stations set up, and so it should be a great 2 nights as a kickoff to Christmas. And our lights are going up, and it already looks great.
I really appreciate the way that the small businesses have acted so responsibly during this time by making sure that their employees abide by the appropriate protocols and the safe environment that our citizens have an opportunity to visit. So thank you for that, and I'm glad we can still go forward with the 2 Enchanted Evenings. Sorry, I hogged the microphone there.
No, I just want to thank you as local entrepreneurs, your tenacity, your bravery, because some of you have led that advocacy for not just for Clovis, but for the whole region, all of the state, for things to get some normalcy, because of this pandemic, it hasn't been normal, and we've seen how you've suffered over these last months, and how you've overcome, and how you're still there, and we appreciate what you do. And I know with Sean and Andy there to support you, we are here to support you. I know the council has done everything we can to ensure that you stay in business, because we know that you're part of our fabric and part of our family, especially in the Old Town area. So thank you for what you do. Juan?
I just want to echo what my fellow peers have already stated. Thank you to the Chamber for, I think, this last year and a half. You have really spread the reach of what you do, not just to Clovis, but even to Fresno. And I think that really has helped the businesses here in Clovis. And to Boot and to all the businesses in Old Town, thank you for being the heart of our town. And thank you to the businesses who have taken very, very bold and brave positions, positions that are beyond us. And so, but at least publicly, I want to state that we stand behind you and we support you for what you're doing, and to also respect those who may believe differently at the same time, and that's important. And thank you to our staff, Sean, and to Andy for bringing ideas that allow our businesses to be able to be flexible, to be the first at it when we did dining outside, to waive fees, to not, charge during a difficult time, and appreciate that, and continue to be a great conduit to us up here and also to our businesses. So thank you for the work that you do. And to, as we have heard in many of our meetings, the business community have been such a great partner to work with during this time. You have been compliant. You have been good to work with our police and our enforcement agencies, and when the public responds. So thank you so much for that.
Councilmember Ashbrook, would you like?
This is great because I can see you, but you all can't see me. I feel like I'm spying on you. Can you hear me, or is there an echo that's too much?
We can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to add my thanks on that sign right above Cora's right shoulder. I think Shop Local is the second part of our pledge to take care of our community. So we appreciate all of you. Thanks for being there tonight.
Mr. Mayor, you have comments?
I do. I want to kind of echo the term bravery. There has been a lot of bravery by small businesses. The conversations I've had with restaurant people, with ABC licensees, with hairdressers and barbers and other small businesses, they have really been brave, and they have been very entrepreneurial through this. I can't imagine what it would be like, because I'm in an essential business, that not being able to go without a paycheck, and being concerned about the people that you have a responsibility to, your employees. It's been very difficult, and I commend you for the things that you've done. I also want to say our staff has been incredible through this process. I think, like Vong said, we were ahead of getting people out, eating outside, cutting the red tape, making sure that we were not an impediment to your success. And that's what we're going to continue to do. So I want to say thank you to the small businesses who have taken it on the chin. And you're going to have to stick out a couple more rounds, but we'll get through this fight.
Okay, sure.
Sorry, I wasn't planning on it, but Julie Glenn, House of Juju, Papa's Place, and On the Edge. I want to first off thank all of you who have voted in support of small businesses, because, I don't think that those who receive paychecks would have retirements can clearly understand what it's like to go through what we have been going through. And there is absolutely no evidence that what we're doing is harming anybody. So if that was the case, it would be a different story, and we would be in a different situation. So I really am so grateful for you on the City Council who have voted to keep us going. And support us. It means the world to all of us. Hearing your words tonight really, really impacted me, because I have a meeting tonight with that group to open Central California safely and what are we going to do. And I am looking forward to going to them and sharing with them what an amazing city council we have here in Clovis. So, but with that said, I would like those who are concerned is to try to put yourself in our position, as Mayor Bessinger just said, is imagining going without a paycheck. We are living off of equity line of credit. Our son is not going to work so he can keep our employees employed, because it's not just us. If it were just us, after the blow that we received today from our governor, we would close up shop and leave a beautiful city of Clovis and go someplace where we could operate. But we love Clovis, and you guys love us, and you show us that. So there's just a much bigger picture. So for anyone who happens to hear the words that I have to say, I really hope that you can kind of see that there's a much bigger picture. And you all here, thank you so much for seeing that picture and supporting us. It means more than you could ever imagine to us hearing that tonight, so thank you.
Next item is public comments. This is an opportunity for the members of the public to address the City Council on any matter within the City Council's jurisdiction that is not listed on the agenda. In order for everyone to be heard, please limit your comments to 5 minutes or less, or 10 minutes per topic. Anyone wishing to be placed on the agenda for a specific topic should contact City Manager's office and submit correspondence at least 10 days before the desired date of appearance. Does anyone have any public comment? Sure.
Hello. Do you need my name and address? Or no? Last time I was here, I had to give it, so I was just curious. I don't want to. Okay. Well, they kind of commented a little bit, but so my question is, thanks to Governor Moron, is everything going to shut down again in the city? Like, are you going to actively try and enforce that? Or I might have missed it because I just got in late. But I mean, is everything going to be closing again, or can you like urge businesses to stay open? Because the numbers just don't make any sense. I mean, Fresno County is one of the biggest counties in California, and we're going to get shut down again. I mean, I don't think there's even infection rates anywhere around here that I've even seen. I lived in Clovis for 10 years. I think only one person I even know had COVID-19. He passed it in like 2 days, and he was 100% fine. It just seems that we are shutting down all of our businesses around the holidays for something with a mortality rate of less than 1% and an infection rate of, you know, I mean, I guarantee you everybody wears this and people still get it, and then people don't wear it and then they don't get it, or they don't show symptoms. But the fact that we shut down our entire local economy for this just seems absurd. I don't understand why we have to shut everything down and listen to what Sacramento does when we're the ones you're the ones in charge. We represent you, you know, we elect you to represent us. And I don't think there's many people here in the local area that actually want to shut down, especially around the holidays, and support all of our local businesses. So I was just kind of putting a comment out there to get with my gripes, concerns, and your input. You're smiling, I either might have missed it in the first 5 minutes, or.
No, it's not because we're up here as frustrated as you are. And I think our policies over the whole pandemic has demonstrated that in Clovis. The governor can govern, and he has done what he has done throughout California. Yes, we just went to the purple tier for the county of Fresno. And those will bring with it some limitations. So we go from, we were at red.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Open up. Now we go back up to purple, which restricts us to what we used to have. And what we've done in Clovis is that we don't have any ordinances here in Clovis that enforces anything.
Okay,
So it's up to the governor to come in and enforce his laws here. It's up to the county to come and enforce their laws here. And, unless it's something very egregious, like if there's a block party of 1,000 people who are just totally disrespecting other people's safety, then we will intervene. But short of that, am I speaking out of turn? No, so short of that, we're not. And the city manager can speak a little more to that.
No, Mayor Pro Tem Flores is absolutely correct. The policy that was adopted by council is that these are basically public health orders issued by the State Department of Public Health and then the County Department of Public Health. Just as we don't go out enforcing restaurant public or health orders or anything, we don't enforce these orders. It is the state and the county health departments are primarily responsible for enforcement, and it's not being enforced here. We do not have any authority to override the state or county in this matter, but there's nothing that requires us to go out and enforce.
are city services going to be impacted, like say permits and coding and everything? Because I remember there was a problem with that a while ago, but I wasn't sure.
So we have never ceased providing those services. Our lobbies were closed for a very short period, but they've been open, I want to say, since April.
Okay,
And,
I'm just making sure.
and they remain open.
And we're one of the few city councils that have kept our chambers open. And, so, because we believe that we need to hear from our people, and that's why we've given you the opportunity to come and be physically here and present us, because we want to hear from our people. And so we don't like it either. We believe very similar, a lot of us, I would say the majority of us believe like you believe. And so the bad thing about our businesses is that many of the licenses they hold.
Our county.
No, they're state.
Oh, okay.
And so if the state wants to do something and intervene in those particular licenses, they can. So we have no jurisdiction, therefore we can't do anything about that. That's a state license they hold, and therefore, if they do not abide or comply with their license, then the state can do something. So
Okay.
it's not the city enforcing something, it would be the state.
Got it. Cool, questions answered. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Anyone else wishing to comment? Public comment? Nope. Okay, we move on.
Mayor Pro Tem, we just
Oh,
double
I'm
checked with
sorry. Anybody-
somebody online and then the email.
Yeah, I forget.
That's fine.
Anyone online wishing?
There are none.
Anyone submit a written?
They did not.
Okay, thank you. Next item is ordinances and resolutions. With respect to the approval of resolutions and ordinances, the reading of the title shall be deemed a motion to waive a reading of the complete resolution or ordinance. And unless there is a request by a council member that the resolution or ordinance be read in full, further reading of the resolution or ordinance shall be deemed waived by unanimous consent of the council. Consent calendar. Items considered routine in nature are to be placed upon the consent calendar. They will all be considered and voted upon in one vote as one item unless a council member requests individual consideration. A council member's vote in favor of a consent calendar is considered and recorded as separate affirmative vote in favor of each action listed. Motions in favor of adoption of the consent calendar are deemed to include a motion to waive the reading of any ordinance or resolutions on the consent calendar. For adoption of the ordinance, only those that have received a unanimous vote upon introduction are considered consent items. Does anyone on the dais want or home want to pull a consent item from the calendar? Anybody from the audience wanting to pull a consent item from the calendar? And then I'll bring it back to the council.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent calendar.
Oh, yeah. Anybody from the web wishing to pull anything from the consent calendar?
There are none.
Anybody pulling?
No.
Okay, now I can.
I'll still make the motion. I'll still make the motion.
And
I'll
we have-
second it.
we have a motion from Councilmember Ashbeck, a second from Councilmember Whalen, and we're going to take a roll call vote.
Correct.
So will you be doing the roll call?
I will.
Okay, so our clerk will be doing the roll call.
Councilmember Ashbeck?
Aye.
Councilmember Flores?
Aye.
Mayor, sorry. Councilmember Moanatua?
Aye.
Councilmember Whalen?
Aye.
Mayor Bessinger?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion passes unanimously. Next item, there are public hearings. A public hearing is an open consideration within a regular or special meeting of the City Council for which special notice has been given and may be required. When a public hearing is continued, noticing of the adjourned item is required as per Government Code 45955.1. So number 6, item 6 is consider approval of a resolution GPA 2020-04, a request to amend the text of the Shaw Avenue specific plan to permit drive-through uses. City of Clovis is the applicant. Staff is Ricky Caperton.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. So GPA 2020-04, this is the specific plan boundary. As you can see, it's the Shaw Avenue specific plan along Shaw Avenue. It's bordered by Clovis Avenue to the west and Temperance on its east. So the purpose of this request is to amend the Shaw Avenue specific plan to allow for drive-through use throughout that boundary. The Shaw Avenue specific plan was originally adopted in 1978 with its last major amendment in 1994, which is where the current prohibition on drive-throughs was established. Part of the goal, or one of the main functions of this specific plan, was to prevent lineal strip commercial development between Clovis and Temperance Avenues, and as well as to focus retail and commercial in specific shopping centers. And based on how it looks today, you can see how there's a lot of defined shopping centers along that corridor. So with that, you can tell that the intent of the specific plan has been relatively achieved thus far. So just to give a little history on the drive-throughs that are currently there or that have been recently approved, you can see there's a bank there from 1980, Foster's Freeze, Taco Bell, and then more recently the Walgreens from 2005, as well as the Ride and Shine, which is currently under construction, if you've been in that area recently. Earlier this year, back in March, there was the Human Bean coffee kiosk and a future use that was approved. That hasn't started construction yet, but will soon. As well as most recently, just last month, the Raising Cane's, as you can see there in the former existing Pier 1 location. So the proposed revisions would modify, in particular, policies 11 and 12 of the Shaw Avenue specific plan. That's where the prohibitions are currently nestled. It would remove the prohibition on drive-through uses and would require that a conditional use permit be required, which is typical of other drive-throughs that are allowed. So if approved, the future drive-through uses would comply with our existing municipal code section 9.40090, which is the development regulations for and standards for drive-through uses. So when we're looking at this and kind of analyzing it, the prohibition on drive-through facilities has dissuaded some potential developers in some of the vacant or underutilized sites throughout that area. We think, especially now with COVID, there have been shifts in the market to support drive-through uses. And, you know, again, since 2018, there have been 4 drive-throughs approved by City Council. So again, that sort of moves in that direction that perhaps this is something worth considering. And the removal of the prohibition still supports many of the economic goals and policies in the general plan, as well as can provide an opportunity for minimizing vacancies, as well as retail continues to struggle. And a good example of that is the Raising Cane's with that Pier 1 that went out of business. If that drive-through were not allowed, we really don't know how long that particular site could have stayed vacant. So with that, the Planning Commission and staff recommend that Council consider approval to amend the text of the Shaw Avenue specific plan to permit drive-through uses. So that concludes staff's presentation. Available for any questions.
Thank you, Ricky. Does council have questions for Ricky?
Yes.
Bob?
So actually, I got 2 questions. One's for Ricky, and then Drew, I've got a question for you related to your role on the Air Pollution Control District. It's going to kind of piggyback on what I asked Ricky. So Ricky, one of the concerns that, I've had related to drive-through uses has been the impact the idling vehicle has on the air pollution, the greenhouse gas emissions within the city of Clovis. Sometimes we are a hot spot for greenhouse gas emissions. Some of the locations, I think, where those hot spots are, have some drive-through locations. Now, I don't know if that's just, correlation or there's a causation that is taking place there. In your review of bringing this particular proposal forward, and I understand why staff would do that, has there been any discussion related to drive-through uses and their impact on the greenhouse gas emissions, or maybe how it's becoming less severe, or balancing of greenhouse gas emissions versus keeping people in their car during the COVID? Was there any kind of a discussion at the staff level about that?
No, we didn't prepare any kind of study per se, because it really is, it's hard to assume what kind of drive-through uses could come here, or how many even. Generally speaking, yeah, I mean, vehicles idling could potentially increase the amount of greenhouse gases in a particular area, but in terms of definitive studies, we haven't done that. As projects come through, if this passes, we can certainly take a look at that on a case-by-case basis as part of the CUP or environmental review process when we do have a specific project come forward.
Okay, and then Drew, were you able to hear my question? Let me ask you a question. I only asked the question to Ricky, but I wanted to make sure that you kind of heard the context of my question to you. Is when you've been sitting on the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District, have there been discussions at that level related to drive-through uses and their impact on greenhouse gas emissions, or is that something that has started to wane as vehicles have become a lot more clean as a result of some of the new technologies that have been adopted?
Can you hear me? Am I on?
Yes, thank you.
Very good. That's actually a very good point, Bob. I don't recall any specific discussion about drive-throughs. I mean, there's other areas that they're going after, and most of the air pollution that we get is from heavy-duty diesel vehicles, but the majority of the pollution that we get are from mobile sources, which are vehicles. I think that in a perfect world, we wouldn't want this because you have, I mean, if you go to, there's a restaurant at Herndon and Clovis, which will have 60 or 70 cars waiting, idling, and that certainly can't be good for the environment. During the initial shutdown for COVID, our air pollution levels were extremely low because of the lack of vehicles on the roadway. The major fix that needs to be done is with the heavy duty diesel, and not necessarily passenger cars, which are cleaner than they were 10 years ago. And I think we have to counterbalance this with the fact that we have to be flexible for a new business model that is going to need the flexibility to do drive-through business in the event that this lasts longer than we think it does, or another one comes down the pike.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember.
Sure. Ricky, as I understand policy or objective 12, it's really limiting a facility more so than it is a drive-through use, right? Am I understanding? I mean, it defines it in the sentence above because it says for financial institutions. I guess my question is, it's more for the facility, and if there is a use that is more drive-through, like right now Walmart has pickup, it's not a drive-through, but they are idling, especially in the summer, because I'm not going to come and turn off my engine, wait for someone to load my food. So that stuff is allowed because it's not part of the facility is what I'm understanding. So is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So policies, both 11 and 12 are really aimed at more traditional drive-through uses,
Okay.
like you would think of fast food. You know, when you're talking about, you know, pickup at Walmart or Target, or, you know, the kind of model they have now, that doesn't necessarily fall into this category, and I don't really think that was the intent of these policies either when those were adopted back in '94. So this is really the facility, and in particular, policy 12 is even more so aimed at the location of the facility.
Mm-hmm.
If you see in the proposed language drive-throughs, it's really about locating businesses or not having drive-throughs along Shaw Avenue. But the one for the actual prohibition on uses themselves is more policy 11. So.
Okay. And then what about a car wash is sort of exempt from this as well? Or do they still have to do a GPA because the use has a drive-through type?
Right. So yeah, the car wash is still kind of lumped in there because if you recall, or back in 2016 or 17 when it was originally approved, that's where the car wash is now on Shaw and Fowler in the northeast corner that's constructing. They had to go through the same process of doing the specific plan amendment.
But now they will be exempt? Or
they still require a CUP. So
okay, they still require a CUP, but with this change, they won't have to do a GPA?
Exactly.
Okay.
So what this does is it requires drive-through uses to still require the CUP. It just eliminates the need for the specific plan amendment on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, Alex, thanks.
Councilmember Ashbeck, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Thanks, Joe. A little bit like Bob's question, Ricky, this amendment applies to Clovis Avenue East, yeah? Did you, did staff do any kind of assessment about the number of parcels this might affect? Or I'm thinking about what does that do to traffic in and out on Shaw, for example? That probably is more of an issue west of Clovis Avenue, but did you all look at this corridor with any of those kind of lenses? Because I can remember over the years, I remember the story, the part of the rationale was because our city ended really at, I don't know, Fowler, that the Fosters at Armstrong and Shaw was a gigantic leap forward, and police were afraid that people would drive through and drive out of town. We'd never see them and all of that. So all of that obviously has changed. But did you all look at any, like, give a sense of how many parcels we're talking about in this corridor? Or are there constraints about traffic or drive in and out on some of these parcels that would make this more difficult? Just taking a broader look at the question. I can't hear you if you're talking. Can you all hear me? The audio went away. I didn't hear. If Ricky, you were talking, I didn't hear a word you said.
I can hear you, Lynn.
Oh, well, can you hear Ricky? Did Ricky talk?
I cannot.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I think Drew and I cannot hear a thing still. Joe is moving his hands.
I just sent a chat message.
Okay. Thanks.
A requirement.
I think at that time, as I understand it, from when that amendment was, or that language was put in there back in '94, there was the desire at the council or administration at that time, you know, going back to the policies and the intent to really limit the amount of drive-through facilities going to the character and trying to keep a certain retail and business character and shopping center feel down this area rather than it getting, I guess, inundated with drive-through features.
Okay. So we don't consider that, well, it's, okay. Is Lynn back?
Yeah, Drew and I were here, but we couldn't hear anything. So, sorry, Ricky, could you answer my question again about the sort of cumulative impact on the corridor, given a look at the parcels that we're talking about? I think that's what you were talking about, Joe, as well, but could you just give us a short version of that answer?
Yeah, in terms of areas where drive-throughs may pop up, if I understand your question correctly, there's really not too much vacant parcels or too many vacant parcels left in that particular area. Now, it's hard to speculate where drive-throughs could happen because, if we're looking at an existing shopping center, until Raising Cane's come forward, I don't know that we could have guessed that that's where a drive-through was going to go. We've had some interest in other shopping centers, in particular the one on the southeast corner of Fowler and Shaw. There's a vacant pad there, I think, directly east of the Walmart neighborhood store. But other than that, most of the areas and shopping centers are built out. So unless, some of those businesses turn over similar to the Pier 1, it's hard to gauge really what kind of activity we might see in terms of drive-throughs.
Okay, thank you.
Drew, do you have questions for Ricky?
I do not.
Okay, and my question for Ricky was, if this is the only place in all of Clovis that requires this, and I guess you can answer it again. Yeah. I don't know if they heard, the two council members heard that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, generally to that point, it's no different than any other area where we have specific plans or master plans where we try to guide the look and feel of an area, be it different ways, and in particular this way, prohibited drive-through uses. But, I mean, I guess it just depends on what the intent was back in 1994 when the policy was put into play there.
In the other areas, we do have drive-throughs, and it's, I mean, they're now ubiquitous throughout the city. I mean, they're not, it's not something that we haven't said no to recently. And even in this area, when they come to us and it makes sense, we allow it. But right. The process is more cumbersome, and that's what we're trying to avoid here now.
Right, that's what we're trying to do is alleviate having to go through that step of a
So if it makes sense, it seems like the city's going to allow it. So why does the applicant have to do more than they would do anywhere else in the city?
Well, this process, the request is to reduce that burden, if you will.
So this is a solution for that.
That's correct.
Okay. Any more questions from the council? I'll open it to the public. Anyone with questions for Ricky from the public? Seeing none, I'll bring, how about from the web?
There are none.
And from emails and?
None.
Okay, now I'll bring it back to the council.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the request to adopt a resolution initiating an update to the policies, including the Shaw Avenue specific plan related to the prohibition of drive-through uses.
I'll second that motion. I'd like to make some comments when appropriate.
Okay.
No,
appropriate now, yes.
Thank you. So my take on the issue related to drive-through uses came at it from a little bit of a different perspective. I certainly understand the idea that, back then when this was implemented, the concept was designed to, maybe encourage maybe some more professional or retail-oriented types of businesses on Shaw Avenue as opposed to the drive-through uses. Drive-through uses at a point were becoming quite, in my view, quite ubiquitous. And one of the concerns, that I remember hearing when we would talk about Shaw Avenue is that we didn't want it to become another Blackstone Avenue. And maybe there was a correlation, at least in the minds of some, that drive-through uses somehow would lend, Shaw Avenue to becoming a little bit more like Blackstone, just one big, inconvenient, non-pedestrian or bicycle-friendly place. Now, that I understand, but really what struck home with me was the idea of the greenhouse gas emissions. When this was passed, there were not the advancements that we've seen in technology when it comes to the use of vehicles. Anymore, I come to a stop light or a stop sign, I really don't hear a lot of engines, because even those that are hybrid cars, you know, what I hear is the starting of the car as soon as the green light starts. And so the technology is there to prevent the idling from taking place. Now, its purpose, I think, initially was to save on fuel, but whenever you have the opportunity to save on fuel, you also have the opportunity to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So this is probably a bit of a dated policy. It does, I think, make sense for us to update it and move forward with the idea of this, you know, limitation or restriction being put in front of the Planning Commission through the vehicle of a conditional use permit, as opposed to just a regular, you know, plan amendment that would sometimes be required of it. So those are my thoughts. I just wanted to express them. I appreciate, Jose, you giving me the opportunity to do that.
Any more comments regarding the motion? At this point, I'll turn it over to the clerk to...
So on a motion from Councilmember Manatua, seconded by Councilmember Whalen, Councilmember Ashbeck,
Aye.
Councilmember Flores,
Aye.
Councilmember Manatua,
Aye.
Councilmember Whalen,
Aye.
Mayor Bessinger.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Next item 7, consider approval of resolution, a request to approve the site layout and design of the Loma Vista Village Green, an approximate 7-acre park that is located north of Gettysburg Avenue between DeWolf and Leonard Avenues. City of Fresno applicant and staff members Lily Shaw.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Good evening, council members. Let's see. This is the site plan review approval request for the Loma Vista Village Green, which is a approximately 7-acre park planned at the heart of the Loma Vista community. The park, again, is approximately 7 acres, and properties that it encompasses are currently vacant. And generally, the park is generally located north of Gettysburg Avenue between Leonard and DeWolf Avenues. The Village Green was initially memorialized in 2003 with the Loma Vista Specific Plan, which memorialized land uses, development guidelines, and the thematic character of the Loma Vista Urban Center. Later on, in 2009, the park was planned out in more detailed and schematically, conceptually planned out with the Loma Vista Community Center's North and South Master Plan. And then with the 2014 General Plan Update, as well as the 2018 Parks Master Plan Update. Loma Vista, otherwise known as the Southeast Urban Center, encompasses about 3,300 acres and was envisioned and planned as a self-sustaining community with a mix of land uses, including open space. And the idea was to create a small town community feel where residents don't have to travel very far or outside of the community for their life necessities. And again, Loma Vista is characterized by thematic features, including gateways and the architectural design that was characterized out there, including the Tudor style, the Mission Revival style, and so forth. So the Village Green is this exhibit here is the original concept that was drawn out when the park was envisioned and planned. It's unique in that it's not designed like a typical park you'd see here in the city. Again, it was envisioned and conceptually designed as a community gathering area that can accommodate various community events, events similar to that of the Old Town area. As you can tell, there's an amphitheater design here for outdoor concerts or performing arts and so forth. So these are just call-outs of general areas of the park, starting from the south to the north. There is a, let me see here. There we go. So this is the main drop-off area, and there's a monument sign here planned to greet visitors that come from Gettysburg Avenue through north, traveling north on Sanders Avenue. And again, this is the drop-off area here. These two areas here are the general are areas that are designated for children's play structures. And then these are just additional open space areas that are leasable or reservable for parties. And then in the center here, you have the defining architectural feature of the park, which is a clock tower and attached to restrooms. And at the center is a water feature, a water fountain with seating areas. And along the east and west are areas that are designated for to accommodate food trucks, which we are aware that food trucks are really a big thing right now in the community, and so to be able to accommodate them would really serve the community well. And this large area here is just a large open space area that will also serve as a seating and viewing area for the amphitheater of performing arts or concerts, whatever events that do go on here in the park. And this is just a closer look at how some of those areas may look. This is the monument sign and drop-off area. This is on Sanders Avenue looking north towards the monument sign. Just another concept of that area. And this is how that area currently looks right now. So again, these areas are designated for children's play structure. The reason why there are two separate areas is that one area would be designated for play structure that serves children between the ages of 2 and 5, and then the other children between the ages of 5 and 12. And this is just a concept of how that area may look like. And I just kind of want to make it clear that these illustrations and these concepts and exhibits I'm showing you are really conceptual, so they may not end up looking like that.
Nope, that's what I expect right there.
So I just want to make that, point that out as we move forward. Again, the open space leasable areas, they're about 9,000 square feet each. And this is a concept of that larger area and how that could look like. And this is looking south from where the would-be fan shell would be located. And this is, again, the tower and the restroom facility. And again, the architecture here really pays homage to the Mission Revival, the California's history. These are just some concepts of how seating may look like. And this is looking north to where the would-be amphitheater would be located. And again, these are just conceptuals of how that amphitheater could look like. We'll definitely know more in terms of design and exact locations anyway during the construction design phase. And then again, the highlighted food truck areas and how that could look like. So with the year wrapping up, the year 2020 wrapping up, we're hoping to finalize and wrap up the entitlement phase, which is obviously going through public hearings with the Planning Commission and City Council. once approved, we're hoping in early 2021 to enter into the design phase of the park. And if everything goes accordingly, hopefully beginning construction in 2022 and park completion sometime in 2023. With that, staff recommends that staff and the Planning Commission recommends that the City Council approve Site Plan Review 2019-11. This concludes my report. I'm open for questions.
Questions for Ms. Lilly? Bob?
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited about what I see in the packet and then also what you've shown up on the screen. You know, this has been a long time coming. It's a promise that has been made to the people who live out there in Loma Vista. Just a couple of questions. The Village Green appears to have like an elevated area where there's going to be the amphitheater, and then below that it's almost like an area that's kind of been dug out, or there's a reduced elevation there. Am I reading or seeing that correctly? Is that part of the intention?
At this point, I'm not sure how grading's going to look like.
Okay.
So it could be a stage that's elevated and not, sorry,
That's okay.
yeah, I'm not sure how the grading would look like.
Yeah,
quite
I
yet.
see those pictures.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, do you know what the distance is in that ellipsis or that oval that goes completely around, or does anybody know about that distance? The outside oval?
Oh, are you talking about the path of travel?
Yes.
I did not measure that out.
Okay. All right. I just wondered. And then I know that one of the concepts for seating is to have like concrete blocks, basically, in order to sit. And I do have a little bit of a concern about skateboarders going through and creating some damage there. Has staff considered how that risk can be reduced?
Yeah, I think some of those mitigations, let me see if I could go back to some of the examples we have here, can include just how we design. So I don't know if you can see this area here. So maybe we can include some of the designs where it's not so easy and smooth as we see here. Yeah, and there are some little rivets or things like that, but that's definitely something that we will definitely take into consideration when when designing how the seating would look like.
And the food truck areas, they will have an opportunity to plug into electricity?
Yes, that is the idea.
Okay. And I'll just...
Excuse me, Councilmember Whalen?
Yes.
If I may add, typically in our bench seating and that's located throughout our park facilities, we have a bracket system that is spread out every several feet or inches, so it deters you from using your skateboards and doing the grinding as they tend to like to do. So
right, okay.
That will be incorporated into these facilities as well.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that, Orlando. I'm going to make my comments now rather than waiting. I think that the creativity that has been expressed through what you have exhibited is, you know, in my view at least, typically very Clovis-like, very thoughtful. I think that, you know, for me, I have some concerns or had some concerns about, you know, how can we cause people to congregate there? We really only give them the opportunity to congregate there. We can't force anybody to congregate there. I'm hoping that people will take advantage of this Village Green as we start to develop outside of that area. I am hopeful that it will be, you know, an opportunity for retail, restaurants, maybe even to, you know, build there. But what I like about what I've heard tonight and seen tonight is that there is that opportunity for food trucks. So, I mean, there was even an idea, I thought it'd make sense to have like a restaurant in the park or something. But that food truck option really seems to work well for the idea of causing people to congregate there, even if it turns out that there are very few sit-down restaurants around the Village Green. We'll still have that opportunity for folks to just sit down there and have a really nice, meal, a date, a family meal, whatever. I think that I'm just very impressed and so thankful and get very excited about that. I can barely wait till March of 2023, but I'll try. Thanks.
Drew, do you have questions for Lily?
I don't have questions, but I'll be like Bob, I'll make my comments now. I was concerned when Dwight was leaving that we weren't going to see a high caliber of presentations. This is probably one of the best presentations I have ever seen from staff. This is totally professional. It gives us a realistic view of what we're going to see. And I join Bob. I'm excited about the prospect of seeing this as a major community draw. That's all I have.
Okay.
Joe, can I comment? Oh, sorry.
Sure.
Bob, I just wanted to, back to your skateboarding comment. The first time I walked through the Paso Tiempo Park at Barstow Locan-ish, the skateboard, whatever you call them, deterrents, are in the shape of the acorn logo of Loma Vista. They're like art. So staff did a really nice job. I suspect that would occur here as well. So anyway, I was pleasantly surprised to see those. I don't think you've been out there on your skateboard lately, so you might not know that. Just checking. Lily, I had a question about, can you go back to the PowerPoint slide that showed the Sanders Avenue entrance into the park? Yeah, this is fine. Two questions. One, I think we got as a public comment, but another I got via email. Questions about parking for the park. And will it occur along Sanders? I recall there were diagonal spots around the park. So can you just, can you address the questions of, there'll be more traffic on Sanders for sure. You say drop-off areas, so people are going to drive to the end of Sanders where it meets the park and I suppose go left or right around the park. But can you talk a little bit about circulation as it relates to the site plan?
Sure. Let me see if I can pull, well, this will do. So there is parking along Sanders, you are correct, and there's diagonal parking along the perimeter of the park as well on Persons Ranch, Encino. There's, I believe there's Loma Vista Parkway and Rialto out here anyway will allow for parking as well. But in regards to the parallel parking, again, because we're not at the design review phase, I don't know exactly how, exactly how many parking stalls, but conceptually we were able to fit about 30 to 36 parking stalls along Encino, and then another 30 to 36 diagonal parking stalls along Persons Ranch. And that, again, might look a little different when we do pursue exact design.
Okay, that helps. And I think we had one public comment, or can't remember if it was public comment or I got the question via email around a place for dogs. And given the size of this park and the number of folks that could gather here, is there any thought given to any sort of spot for pets?
Yes, so I did receive that same comment, and I've been, I've met with actually the person who made that comment not too long ago, and kind of just discussed the background and the history on our dog parks. And as council is aware, in 2019 we adopted the dog park master plan that memorialized or designated a location in the Paso Tiempo Park, which is just north of here on Barstow and DeWolf, less than a mile away, I believe, from this area here, that would provide for a future dog park area. Again, I think, you know, space here, I'm not sure what the idea was when the park was designed, but going back to the vision and the original intent, it's intended as a community gathering area for these sort of special events. So that's probably why, you know, the consideration for a dog area did not arise at that time.
Great. And my skateboard example was Barstow and DeWolf, not Locan. You're right. All right. I just wanted to make sure it got in the public record of the interest. You can imagine, though, people going for walks from these higher density neighborhoods, we may end up with some circumstance there. So just a comment. Thank you for the presentation. It was very good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, Lily, for the excellent presentation, and I think something exciting that we get to see that the city's going to do. You know, first is I think Southeast needs its first pedestrian counters, and you know, Bob's Neighborhoods has had a couple already, and if we can start to look at where to put them, I think this will be an excellent place to start, because the other ones go through the neighborhood and there's really no focal entry point, but I think this will be a great place. One thing to also, you know, I like your map of all the trails. One way to get, I walk these trails a lot, and one thing we can really improve on is signage. Mm-hmm. So that way people, or maps, so that way people know that you are still on the trail, even though you're in the middle of the two streets, and if it leads to here, that will be very helpful. People, it's a destination for all those Loma Vista neighborhoods to go, oh, I get to go there, and I get to relax. And I think that's almost a good quarter mile, that oval. Yeah, because compared to what it was down there and looking at it's about a good quarter mile at least. And so if we can get signage, maps of just Loma Vista at many different locations, so that way people who are, because you kind of walk your neighborhoods, and then when you leave it, you kind of go, I hope this is still, and it's only when you see those concrete ballards or whatever that are in the middle of the trail, you kind of go, I think that's where the trail goes, or if it's wider sidewalks. And so I think we need to do that. I think I see it also at some of the trails on the northern end is we need dog drinking fountains on the trails down here, or just water fountains. Those are just so neat, but we don't have any down here on the southeast. So if we move to that, then I think we need to always consider them in making those fountains. My other thought is potentially, I know that we will probably use our recycled water, but then maybe think also about turf, to where if we're going to sit and be in that green area so much, maybe turf is an option. And also, as a former Planning Commissioner Segala, you know, shade, I know that that's something I think you guys will always look for, but shade for the play areas, play structures is something that I thought about. And with regards to parking, I think if we do something huge here, we need to get the agreements and the conversations right now with CUSD saying, you keep your parking lots open when we hold big events, because they have Clovis East, which has sort of that connectivity right in the middle there, where they need to keep their lots open for us. Because when they hold their events, they park on all our streets, and we don't say a thing, and we even help, you know, watch it. And so I think we need to start that conversation now, that Rayburn's parking lot to Clovis East parking lot, that we need sort of that for major events, so that way we can not bother the neighborhood so much and really direct them to a place that's very wide open. Other thought is, let's see, for safety, if we can start to look at where to place what we did in Old Town with the, is it called the bollards? Those safety things? Bollards. Bollards. Mm-hmm. You start thinking about that now, so that way, as we build, okay, where can potential dangers be and where can we prevent, and do it now instead of later, and put that in the planning as we move forward. And even if it's something in which, yeah, I just think that if the developments around it, we can still make them pay right now because they may abut right to this area and go, okay, your street right here, we're going to require you put bollards in right here. You know, this one. And so that way it alleviates us of the cost of having to do it or looking for funding later on. I think that those safety features give peace of mind when we have huge events, especially if trees are going to be blocking certain sites. And for the drop-off, is that wide enough for buses?
Yes, so it was designed to accommodate future transit line in this area.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so in other words, school bus sizes as well?
Yeah.
They will be able to go there and drop people off?
Yes, so our minimum street or driveway width anyway is 26 feet.
Okay.
And usually, depending on the turning radius, I don't know that exactly now, it's designed to accommodate fire trucks to be able to, you know.
Okay. Those are just my comments, and it's exciting. I think this is very beautiful, and so thank you, and hopefully those will help make it even better with all the comments of the rest of the council.
Yeah, your comments are definitely appreciated. I just wanted to clarify regarding the bollards, did you have specific locations that you thought that they would be beneficial?
No, I'm just saying put it there so you guys think of it if it is someplace. So for example, maybe that southern entrance, right? If someone just goes straight. I don't know where the developments around it where streets can potentially hit the park. And so that it's just to put in there. And if it doesn't even come into play, then it doesn't come into play. Yeah.
Like Encino, if there's going to be the food trucks there and there's going to be a lot of people congregating there and someone can pick up speed, that might be a place. So something that maybe the police department can opine on where to place them. But it's a beautiful place. The vision is beautiful. I am partial to the Spanish colonial architecture. Growing up, I spent some time in Mexico in my youth, and what happens in the coastal areas of California is a beautiful place. So I love the concepts. It's going to be a great place once we get it done, and I think people will come, and there will be another place for people to congregate, and they'll feel close to home. And it does help that it's about walking distance from my home, so I'm okay. So.
Hey, Joe, can I make one more comment?
Sure.
Just, I wanted to agree with everything people said. I also want to just talk about, it might be interesting to have a kind of a history of the park or a plaque somewhere that talks about the park or its origins. And I love the name of the street on the, I guess it's the north side, or no, I don't know, whatever, Persons Ranch Avenue. I like that. So maybe as we try to tell the story of Clovis, to use this park as another way to have some kind of a marker that talks about the park and its history and people around it and all of that, would be to try to keep teaching our history to people that are new to the community.
The Loma Vista Ranch and Loma, where they came from,
Yeah, and the persons and how long they've been ranching on that property. And anyway, just keep telling the Clovis story as more people move here. Thanks.
Will do.
I have one more comment, Jose.
Sure.
Yeah. And this is to the staff. I think we need to have CUSD improve that northeast section of their property and actually make it a sidewalk, because those fees have already been paid. And so they didn't do it because nothing was developed yet. But I understand that it was only Wilson putting up that asphalt, whatever, curb there. And so I think it's time for them to build it and make that complete Gettysburg, the sidewalk all the way across. It's time, because I don't know if it's us, it's you know, how do we do it? Is it the citizens to have where they need to complete that now because the north side is completed, so the south side needs to complement or match. And so I think that discussion or that conversation, it needs to be at the forefront of what they're doing, what they're planning, and so that way it's complete.
Okay. Now I'll open it to the public. Anyone here in the chamber would like to speak to this item? Come on up, give us your name, your address for the record.
Hi, thank you for your time tonight. I'm actually just piggybacking off of earlier comments. I didn't think I could make the meeting tonight. So my family was the one that reached out to Council Member Lynn Ashbeck. So my concerns have been parking. My house actually lines Sanders Avenue there. It's my backyard, meets Sanders Avenue. So and Lily has been great to work with. I really tip my hat to her. I've been meeting with her and talking with her through emails. I was concerned about the parking just because I knew that that was going to become a very busy street. And that is going to be the main entrance to that community that I have. And since my house and others are close by, the noise level, the public safety, all of that is a concern of mine. So I'm happy that there is going to be hopefully parallel parking surrounding the park. I do think that will help. I think reaching out to Wilson and my HOA will help as well. But yeah, I do understand that that is a community parking or a community street. So if I'm understanding correctly, there's nothing that can be done to stop parking along Sanders Avenue, but as many public safety precautions as we can take for, slow speed limit through there, I think would be very helpful. And then the other concern I have is, sorry, yeah, we got, okay. Sorry about that. The other concern was the dog park issue. I do understand, as I've talked to Lily, that Pasatiempo Park is open for dogs off leash. I've mapped it. It's a little over a mile away, and I do think one of the biggest things in the city planning meetings that I've been attending over the last couple months is they're hoping to bring, according to their numbers, 30,000 new residents in the next 10 to 20 years through this Loma Vista community. That's a lot of people, and even in the small little community we have that started near Sanders Avenue, there's tons of dogs I see all the time. So, and I moved here last year back to Clovis. I haven't been here for about 10 years. So I also am under I've been told that the city of Clovis has reached out and asked for more dog parks, and that, yes, last year they approved to have new dog parks built at a couple different areas throughout the city. My kind of points that I wanted to bring were that, one, I think it's beneficial to be proactive in this case and not reactive like the city of Clovis has been to these requests for more dog parks. I think with that number of people that you'll eventually have in the area, and with the intent of this being kind of an all-inclusive area, hopefully soon, where it will have retail, restaurants, possibly grocery shopping, all those things that you can walk to. And I, like Councilman's statement earlier, where you can meet and have family gatherings, I think it would be beneficial to have a dog park or somewhere even small to have dogs off leash instead of having to walk or drive to another location when this could all be right here for families to enjoy, I think is worth the effort and cost right now instead of doing it on the back end to bring this to the area once all these people come. So anyway, I'm for this park. I think it's a great idea, and I'm really excited about it as well. This is my backyard. This is my home, so I wanted to kind of make those statements and ask that the council kind of consider, in particular, it being a little bit more dog-friendly for the residents. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? The chamber? Okay, how about the web? Do we have someone in the web?
None.
How about email? We had her email.
We just have the one, and I assume that's Erica who submitted the
Yeah.
email?
No,
Okay, so you have the one email from Erica plus the public comment. That was it.
Nothing else, so I'll bring it back to the council.
If I may?
I'll make a motion that we approve the site plan for the Loma Vista Village Green.
I'll second. I probably have some comments too when appropriate.
I thought you already made your comments.
I did.
Okay, your comments are appropriate now.
Thank you.
Good call, Joe. Good call. Good call.
I tried.
I know. We're cheering here for you. Nice try.
The dog park issue is one that, obviously, our council has embraced. And, we put together the master plan. I don't really, at least from my perspective, I don't want to fiddle with the master plan yet related to the dog parks. It doesn't mean it can't be revised later on, and maybe we can throw something there at this particular park as well. But I think right now it seems like it makes a lot of sense to have the dog parks where they are, to gather in from the different parts of the city. My other comment was, if we could make that oval a quarter mile, I think that would be really helpful for those who happen to walk or run in the mornings or even in the evenings. I think that's going to encourage them to kind of say, okay, well, yeah, this is a place where I can run or walk on my trail, get to the park, do as many laps as I want in order to get my my goal accomplished, and then head on back. Or even after they get done running, hang out and grab a food truck item of some kind. So if we can make that a quarter mile, that'd be, I think, really useful and provide a good utility. Those are my comments. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second.
So on a motion by Councilmember Ashbeck, seconded by Councilmember Whalen for item number 7, I'm looking for a roll call for Councilmember Ashbeck.
Aye.
Councilmember Flores.
Aye.
Councilmember Mwanatua.
Aye.
Councilmember Whalen.
Aye.
And Mayor Bessinger.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously, 5-0. And we move on to our council items. Consider approval of change of city council meeting schedule, item 8. City Manager, Luke Serpa.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Flores. So we're looking at the schedule for next month, and generally we have 3 council meetings scheduled. Looking at the workload coming through and the timing, the 3rd meeting would be normally held on Monday, December 21st, which is the Monday before Christmas. Looking at the workload, we can shift all of that work to the first 2 meetings, and we're recommending canceling the meeting on the 21st. That concludes my report, and I'm ready for some questions.
Questions for Luke? Any questions from the council? Any from the public? From the web?
None.
From email?
Nothing.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the council.
I'll move for approval. Or second.
Okay, so
Council December 21st meeting.
So for item number 8, canceling the 21st of December, on a motion by Councilmember Whalen, seconded by Councilmember Ashbeck, the roll call vote, Councilmember Ashbeck.
Aye.
Councilmember Flores.
Aye.
Councilmember Mwanatua.
Aye.
Councilmember Whalen.
Aye.
And Mayor Bessinger.
Aye.
Next item, number 9, consideration of design of the City of Clovis flag. Mayor Bessinger.
Well, thank you, Jose. Tonight, we're going to look at the variations of flags that we asked staff to come up with. Basically, there are 4 different variations. Actually, well, there's four types with some slight variations. What we're going to do is we'll go through all of the various flags, and then we'll have to have a discussion on how we do the selection. How are we going to put this out to public comments, things like that. But we'll go through the flags first. If we look at the upper left-hand corner, our standard city seal with a red, white, and blue motif. I wish I had asked for a gold star, but we could always do that later if we pick this one. The next one on the top is same seal, just with a more subdued. Is that green? I'm allegedly colorblind, but that looks green partially to me. The bottom left-hand corner, same seal, different variation with some background issues and some features. And on the bottom right, this is the Betsy Ross style flag with the gold star in the 1 o'clock position. Clovis, California on the bottom, and the incorporated date underneath. Next slide, please. This is the same variation. Lynn had mentioned a white border on all of these. And so this is the example with the white bordering. Next slide. And we're going to go through the individual ones here. This is the red, white, and blue. And the next slide. Maria Spera did an amazing job on this presentation. Being able to show flags as they're going to look flying, that's pretty amazing. Next one. And this is the variation with the white border. And next one. This is the allegedly green, whatever color that is, and with it flying also, and with the white border. And the next one. This is the red variation with the graphic interior. And there's the waving. And the next one is going to be the white border and the waving. And the next one. This is the Betsy Ross one. And go ahead and do the wave. It does. I like the incorporated date underneath it. When it waves, it kind of, you're going to lose a little bit of that function, but either way. And we have the white variation with the border and the flight and the flying one. And next. Is there another one after this, John?
That's it. Okay.
So what, I guess for discussion, we probably should whittle this down to at least to 2, I would think. But that's just my opinion. Maybe we want to go more. We come up with the variation, basically we're going to select the type of flag that we want, and then with or without a border. And I guess that's where we're at. I'll open this up for discussion.
Hey, Drew, I have a question. When you say Betsy Ross, do you really mean because there's 13 stars, 13 colonies? That's what you mean by that?
That is exactly what I mean. That's the American bicentennial flag, or the original flag.
Okay. Just checking my history facts, making sure I was going to the right, okay, got it.
It's an homage to the original flag. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. And with the gold star at the 1 o'clock, consistent with our existing seal, and that with that particular one, it has Clovis, California. The incorporated date gives a little bit of information about who we are, and this is an homage, as Joe would say, to the first American flag.
I do love the date on there. I do love that piece of information on this flag. I don't know. I think it's important to have that. So I don't know if it fits on the others, but I really like that piece of that.
Okay, I'm partial to the detailed Bronco Billy on the bottom left. And I think the incorporated, that one, yeah. I think the incorporated February 27, 1912 could be placed on a rocker just below the Bronco. Just below the, no. Inside the seal, right there. See the last, that one, the hoof, the bottom hoof, incorporated to the left, and February 12, 1912. 27th, yeah. I can't read. I can't.
That's my birthday, Joe, but thank you.
Okay. Happy birthday. Hey. In a rocker, on rocker with the semicircle going, that way we can incorporate inside that. I like that detailed Bronco Billy. I'm not partial to all those stars inside there, because in that same one, I don't like all the stars, the shaded stars you see. I think we should emphasize in that gold star.
And that's, Joe, I'm in agreement. The reason I like the one above it with the white background is it pops red, white, and blue. But I'm willing to compromise on all this stuff as long as we get a flag.
So if I may, if council recall, this version here, which I apologize, we should have put it with a gold star. That was our intent. That was the pattern we developed for the coin, and we put the white background with the gold star specifically because the gold star shows up better on the white than it does on the tan background. That was our thinking behind that. And of course, we could also change out, the horse to the more detailed horse there. We can do a combination of these things. I will tell you that the people that worked on it, and let me see. Yeah, Orlando's still here. He could probably speak to this somewhat. Trying to put the incorporated February 27th, 1912 on a rocker inside one of these is going to be problematic because we can do anything, but if you put that in here on letters that are visible because of their size, it's going to go probably more than halfway around the circle. So that was problematic trying to get the incorporated. We could come back with some examples showing you exactly what it looks like if you'd like, if you chose them.
The font was too small.
And Luke, if I may add to it, thank you. It does become really busy the more text you add to a logo. When you're incorporating logos and you're starting to mix a mixture of font sizes and different lettering styles, then it becomes really convoluted and within that circle. So you want to keep it as clean as possible because this flag has to be visible from 30, 40, 50 feet, even more so. So the more you try to incorporate it, the busier it's going to get.
I have an idea. You look at a coin, a lot of times it'll have a D indicating where it was made. Maybe what we do is on the bottom right-hand portion of it, we just put 1912. And, right on the bottom, on the right kind of below the horse's head, put 1912. And then we get kind of the best of both worlds. And it wouldn't be that busy, I don't think.
Right here.
Right.
That would actually work. There's a lot of U.S. minted coins that actually have just a year in that same area.
Just a year.
Yeah. And it would work well with that flag shown on the screen now.
So if council were to narrow down to, one or two of these patterns, we could come back again with some of them with some of the different depictions of the date and to see what councilor's pleasure was at that point.
Hey, Joe, I think I like the red, white, and blue-ness of that flag. Would it be possible if we land on that one? Could we also just try the incorporated across the bottom of the flag, like on your Betsy Ross flag? And the only reason I say that is I feel like that seal right there is our kind of trademarked seal, like sides of cars look like that and our coin looks like that. It just, if you want to preserve the integrity of the logo, the date doesn't live in our logo. So just if there be a way to see the words below the circle, in addition to the under the horse's head, I might just want to see what that looks like if that was possible.
John, could you put up that flag with the white border around it, please? Put it in the wave. Lynn, what do you think about making the bottom of it white only and put the incorporated date on the white stripe?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it might be so small. I'm not sure I like the white stripe now that I said that I thought it was important. I'm just saying I could change my mind. Maybe. Maybe.
What I'm thinking about is making the stripe on the bottom thicker, but foregoing it around, like kind of like what the California flag has, the big red
That's
stripe.
interesting. Oh yeah, so like just across the bottom with it in there. That would be interesting. Yeah, that would probably look good.
Of course, I'm probably making staff crazy right now with another, but that's.
No, that's okay.
What are you going to say?
I actually like that, Drew. That would probably look quite nice.
Excuse me, Mayor Bishop.
I'm just trying to talk.
Yeah, one of the issues with widening the bottom and then putting the text within that banner, your composition gets thrown off, and you're gonna have to raise the logo itself a little higher up and try to balance it out. Composition-wise, it may not work. It'd be cleaner if you raise the logo a little bit higher and then threw the incorporator 1912 right underneath the logo in a white text.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, maybe just try that and see. Maybe we'll like it better inside with the horse, but anyway, just a thought.
Jose, did you have any input, Bob and Bong?
Bob?
You know, I'm going to go with whatever the majority decides looks good.
Bong?
I'm good with is it the top left, the red one here? Yeah, with the gold star. I prefer the less detailed horse, but I mean, we can see the white with the detail, the white with the less detailed. I prefer the less detailed bucking bronco. I'm okay with the date inside or on the bottom. I don't have a preference for that. And I do like it more without the border.
Okay, so if I'm hearing everybody, we've settled on the one in the upper left-hand corner with the red and the white. And with two versions, one with 1912 inside the seal under the horse's head, and the other version with the incorporated February 27th, 1912 along the bottom. Is that kind of what we're talking about?
I think so.
With a gold star?
Yeah.
Correct. Gold star.
Yes.
Now here's when staff brings this back, I guess we have a couple options. One is we can just let people know, beforehand on social media, hey, we're going to be having this discussion. These are the things we want to do. Make it very clear that it's probably not the time to say, hey, can we make it this, because that'll just slow the process down, and open it up for the discussion so that people could, weigh in on what their flag is going to look like. Or do we just make that decision ourselves?
Well, I would just weigh in as part of process. The process that we have in place for any of the decisions that we make would be adequate, with maybe giving them three choices if we can, whatever those three choices are. Then public comments, they can comment. But my impression is, Drew, that you may want to have this have a bigger splash than just what it might have in a city council meeting. You're maybe wanting to incorporate some social media at least in, to the, I'll say advertising of our new flag, in order to get some enthusiasm and excitement generated about the fact that we're going to have a new flag. Am I reading that right, Drew?
You know, it's amazing, Bob. You can read my mind over the internet. You did.
All right.
I think that this is I'm excited with this, and I might be the only one, you know, but I kind of like stuff like this. This is stuff that, you know, people, this flag will sell in our town. There are plenty of people who are proud of living in Clovis, and this would look amazing in the arena at the rodeo parade on being with a horse going around the rodeo with this new flag.
You know, Drew, I bet the Clovis Roundup, if we had two, I bet they would do it on their social media as well. So that or the Nextdoor app that Chad does so well. But I bet just between those two, you'll probably get lots of voting on this or that. So I think that would be fun.
I think so too. I think it would be a nice opportunity. We certainly need a morale builder. And so if we come up with the two, because I don't know if what the pleasure of the council is. Do we want to see these two versions again and then put it out, or maybe have them emailed to us and we check off on them so they can just do the process for December? What's the thought there?
Does staff have enough direction tonight with what we said?
Yes, and I think that what we could do is we could come back at the December 7th meeting with the changes that council has requested tonight, and have a few different options of those. And then if council chose at that time could choose, okay, we're going to put these 2 or 3 out for vote, we could do that. And, you know, I still would like to cancel the 21st meeting, but we come back either on the 14th after a week of voting, or if we wanted to extend the voting period, we could come back in the first meeting in January. But we could come back at our very next meeting with these changes incorporated.
So look, you're not in favor of an emergency meeting on the 21st? I'm just kidding.
I was kind of, well, we could have if it's going to be an emergency meeting, we could have it on the 24th or 25th or anything. But I was just thinking that we probably don't need it for that.
That's true. Now, unless I'm hearing otherwise, there's only 2 options that we're looking at doing it. Is there a third one that I'm not seeing?
So my notes, and we'll bring them back and show them to council, and you guys can, and just of the different comments we've heard, we would have it with kind of as shown there on the screen with the gold star, as shown there with the 1912 date underneath, incorporated into the seal, as shown there with the incorporated February 27, 1912 printed underneath. We could also do the same thing just for council's decision making with both the more and the less detailed version of the Bronco Billy, just to see what they look like.
I'm fine with the one on the upper left-hand corner, but I'll defer to my colleagues if we want to see it on the other ones too.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, so we have direction. So I'll open it to public comment. Anyone in the chamber from the public wishing to comment on this item? Anyone from the web?
No.
Anyone from
No.
emails? Okay, now it's time for the council.
All right, I'm just going to move so that we've got something on the table to work with. We bring back at the December 7th meeting versions of the Clovis flag that are going to include the upper left corner with the gold star, Upper left corner with the gold star and the 1912 under the horse's head. Upper left corner with the incorporated in February 27th, 1912 language underneath, without the 1912 underneath the head. And also the bottom left corner with those same 3 iterations, but none of those fadeaway stars in that one. And then perhaps maybe at the December 7th meeting, we can just narrow this down to, 2 or 3 choices, and then set it out to the public to kind of just generate some excitement and get some feedback on the citizens' views of the new flag. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion is second.
So on a motion.
Clerk, will you call a roll call?
Sure.
Vote.
Sorry. On a motion by Councilmember Whalen, seconded by Councilor Wanatua regarding selection of the flag and coming back on the 7th of December. Councilmember Ashbeck.
Aye.
Councilmember Flores.
Aye.
Councilmember Wanatua.
Aye.
Councilmember Whalen.
Aye.
Mayor Bessinger.
Aye, and thank you.
Okay. Move on to our workshop for the Clovis City Council to conduct a workshop to discuss the impacts of ongoing city operations during the COVID-19 state of emergency as declared by the federal government, state of California, county of Fresno, and the city of Clovis, and to explore actions the city may take in response to the crisis. Luke.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Flores. So as anybody who's been following the news has seen, both nationwide and statewide and countywide, things are not going well with the pandemic. We are seeing a significant rise in the number of new cases. This first graph is the most up-to-date graph showing the statewide day-over-day new cases. And as you can see, we are approaching levels that we saw during the summer when it was peaking, that led to some of the requirements that we're under now. This is the county, the Fresno County day-over-day new cases. It's starting to rise. It's rising significantly. We haven't approached the levels that we were during the summer, but it is alarming and very concerning. This is the Clovis new cases by week, and again, reminding council that the last bar there on this graph does not represent the full reporting week, so that number will be surely higher once it comes in. You can see a very significant spike here. As some of you may have seen in the news, one of the skilled nursing facilities in Clovis had a very significant outbreak, and the latest number that I got from the county was that the cases associated with that outbreak, now this may include not only patients, but staff and families of staff and families of patients and stuff, was 86. So it's a very significant addition to the number of Clovis cases, and very concerning because of the patients that are affected there are in high-risk groups often. This is the number of daily deaths in Fresno. Fortunately, we have not seen the spike yet that would go along with the increase in new cases, but typically the daily deaths lags behind, the curve lags behind the daily new cases, because new cases today, it could be 2-3 weeks before they result in a death. So we're watching that closely, hoping that that doesn't rise significantly. This graph represents the deaths attributed to Clovis addresses. We had 1 in the last week, and still, again, we would expect that number to be lagging behind the new cases. This is the hospitalization. The blue lines are the confirmed and confirmed plus suspected hospitalization cases attributed to COVID, and the red lines are the confirmed and the confirmed plus suspected ICU cases attributable to COVID. So once again, this is starting to rise, much as the new cases is. We are not yet where we were during the summer, but it is concerning. So the state blueprint tiers, today the governor took some extraordinary measures. Typically, these tiers are reassigned on Tuesdays. The governor today announced kind of some urgency measures to reimpose some tiers because, you know, the cases are growing so fast, the state didn't want to wait another day. Fresno County, for the adjusted daily new cases, is 14.7 per 100,000. That's more than double where we were at last week. So that's a very concerning number. Positive test rate was 6.6%, and the health equity metric was 8.3. The governor moved Fresno County into the purple category, the widespread category, and that is effective immediately or to be implemented in an urgent manner rather than typically once the tier is assigned, then the county has 3 days to make the changes and issue the order, and that's probably not going to happen this week. It's going to happen much sooner than that. But it is very significant, I think, in California. I think today there were something like 30-some counties that moved into a higher tier because of the outbreak. So it is concerning. We are coming into the holidays, which is a time of travel and family gatherings, which is concerning to everybody, even without the numbers rising this fast before the holidays. The concern is certainly there that it's going to really spread during holiday gatherings. So that report, that concludes my report on the number of cases. We are continuing to watch this. We have sent out the notification to the businesses as to what has changed, what is changing. The governor did mention that the state is considering, and he emphasized just considering some sort of a curfew. We don't know what that would look like yet. If he were into, in fact, this is our last meeting until December 7th, but if it was necessary, if there was some very significant order that came out of Sacramento between now and December 7th that was going to take or greatly impact the city, we would probably ask council to schedule an emergency meeting to discuss that, but we don't know what it's going to look like. And he emphasized that he's just considering not only, you know, what a curfew would look like, but whether or not it would be of value. So that's where we're at today, and I'm available for questions.
Questions for Luke?
I have a...
Luke. Okay, then go.
No, sorry. I had a question, Luke. Do we have any idea, did the governor, I didn't hear his remarks today, but terrible feedback on this microphone. Any indication on counties that don't respond to these new tiers? Any discussion about withholding this or that funding, support, et cetera? I wonder how far he would be willing to go to try to force quote unquote compliance.
I'm not aware of any specific discussion on that matter today, but what we have seen in the past, both with certain cities, even here in Fresno County, that declared all businesses essential very early on to kind of buck the state orders, they lost access to certain state funding. So it would not surprise me if counties did not comply, that they could be at risk of losing some funding as well. But I don't think there was anything new on that. I think that's just kind of been a carrot or a stick that's been there since the beginning of this.
It might be worth just thinking that through a bit, because I think Fresno County's, at least the supervisor's comments were that they weren't going to comply, basically. So just if it had any fallout for the city, it would be worth knowing what that might be if there was any indication of that.
Okay, well, I'll find out what we can.
Just listen for that. Yeah. Thanks, Joe.
Hey, Vaughn?
when it goes back to the red, Luke, do you foresee any potential changes to our services, to us opening to the public, not opening, meaning city services?
So we were in the red, we are now back in purple. We were operating in purple the way we currently are with our lobbies open and such. There have been some few changes to some other guidance. We're evaluating that. We may have some internal changes as to when people wear masks and when they aren't required to wear masks. But unless something else changes, we will continue to be open and providing the services the way we were a month ago. Because really the change from widespread to substantial didn't affect us because we are an essential operation. Now we, internally, we're constantly monitoring the number of infections we have, and we may make temporary adjustments based on those that happen, just to protect our other employees and the public. And then the state could come out with additional guidance that mandates some certain changes. But so far, we will continue operating the way we have.
Drew, do you have questions?
I do not.
So, like restaurants and retail stores, they go from 50% to 25%, or?
Under the widespread, indoor dining is not allowed. The retail will go from 50% to 25%. There's a few other changes. I believe gyms will be closing again. But the biggest thing we'll see is the restaurants.
And that's every county that's in the purple tier, right? So this is statewide purple tier. If you were at 50% for retail, you go down to 25.
Yeah, I think those are the exact numbers. I'm not absolutely certain. Andy's here; he probably has a better handle of them. But it is it's a statewide criteria for whatever category you're in.
Andy?
In the purple tier, 25% for retail is the standard 50% if you're in the red tier, and then beyond that, it starts relaxing more.
And did he speak of regarding nail salons and those other aesthetic kind of businesses like hairdressers and stuff?
So those are allowed to open in the purple tier based on the guidance. Originally, they weren't.
They weren't.
But the state changed the guidance to allow them open with stringent criteria while in the purple tier. So there may be the number of chairs or occupancy that's impacted, but there's not going to be it's not going to be a complete shutdown of those like it will be for the indoor dining. Indoor dining will be prohibited in purple.
Okay, so what's going to happen in Clovis? Because we say indoor dining is closed, but if you look at our parking lots, there's tents, and they're beautiful tents. But what these restaurateurs have done is enclose these tents. So are these enclosed tents indoor dining, or are we going to say it's outdoor dining?
We are not aware of any fully enclosed tents that would constitute indoor. There are some, we are looking at that to make sure that the partial enclosures don't violate any fire code or building codes. But as far as what the state says is how much you can enclose or can't enclose as part of their public health order, we're not necessarily going to be out there measuring that and enforcing that. That's part of the public health side of things. And
so the county or the state will have to enforce that part of it.
Correct.
So, okay, so because I've noticed that initially, yes, in the heat of summer, it was no walls, but now it seems like they're starting to wall their enclosure, they wall up their tents, and some have very elaborate walling and heating, and because the temperature is getting, so we won't be seeking enforcement.
We're not going to be out there enforcing any of the public health orders regarding how much you can have walled in. Some of the heating does concern us, and we're out there checking on some of that. The last thing we want is an improperly placed propane heater to catch a tent on fire. So we're looking at some of that. We're looking at the like I said, we're looking at the life safety codes and making sure that those are all safe. But as far as the public health code goes, because again, our fire department and building department, their normal job is to enforce building code and fire code. It's not to enforce public health codes. So we're not.
We'll give them guidance.
Yes, we have provided them guidance. We actually did an inspection and sent out a letter to all the restaurants back in September and telling them what the guidance was. So, and we're continuing to answer questions and trying to work with them to help them succeed as much as possible.
Any more questions?
More question. Look for in December, maybe the last meeting that we meet, can you give us an update of sort of the economics, where we're at? It's sort of the end of the year. And in that report, can you also give us, at least for our city, the calls for service? So for example, were there more domestic violence calls? Were there more child abuse calls, mental health, suicide calls, just so that we have a full sense of what's going on, just not the economics of it, because we get the health numbers from the county, but at least internally, meaning within our city, we can get some of those. And so whatever we can find, whatever PD can and fire can provide for us, I think it'll give us a good sense of what, since March at least, what we've been going through before we close out the year. That'd be very helpful.
Certainly, we can bring that information back, and we are planning on bringing back an economic update. We actually considered doing it this week, but we decided to bring it back the same night as the CAFR, since both of those are financed. And the other reason we decided to postpone a little bit is our sales tax numbers and everything, it takes a while to get them. So we still don't have hard numbers for the quarter that ended October 1, but we will have them in time, for the December meeting. And I think it's December 7th is when we're bringing back the CAFR, and we'll be bringing the economic report at that time as well.
Thank you, Lou.
Okay, this time I'll open up to the public. Anyone in the public? Question to ask? Any question regarding on the web?
None.
Email?
Nothing.
Okay, so we'll go on to our next item. And now it's city manager's comment.
Thank you. I've got a few items actually to talk about this evening. The first is I apologize. I did not get back to council sooner. I kind of dropped the ball on it. A few council meetings ago, there was a issue raised about the litter on 168 and what was going on with that. Caltrans was responsive. I'm sorry. It just slipped through the cracks and I didn't get back to you. I did talk to Caltrans, the maintenance manager for this district. Part of the problem they're dealing with is they used what they call their back to work program for litter patrol on all their right-of-ways, and that was parolees primarily. With the COVID issue, they have not been able to transport 8 to 10 people in a van out to pick up litter like they normally do. So it's been impacted all the way around. And that's something that they have limited control over. I did inquire about segments that were available for adoption, and I have another question into them recently about does adoption, back when the Adopt a Highway first started, volunteers went out there and put on an orange vest and picked up trash. I don't know that they allow that anymore because of liability issues. So I'll have more information on that to bring back once I compile that. One other issue that we have is Clovis Unified School District Board member Ginny Hovsepian is retiring after 29 years of service. The school district is having a drive-through reception for her Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Council has prepared a proclamation recognizing her service to the community. Mayor Bessinger was originally planning on delivering that at the drive-through reception. I think with the current quarantining, I don't know that he's going to be able to do that. and I want to find out what council's pleasure is. Does another council member want to present it? Do you want staff to present it? We just need some guidance on that.
What time?
It starts at 4:30 over here in the east parking lot of the professional development building.
I got to check my calendar because Wednesday's going to be a pretty busy day for me. So I'd like to do it, but let me check my calendar.
Okay. Okay, if you will let us know, and then if you can't, we'll put it out to the other council members and see, and then otherwise staff can do it as well. And then last, normally we would have birthday cake tonight, but since the birthday council member is not here, I'd like to wish Lynn a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Lynn.
Happy birthday, Lynn. Are you ready?
Happy birthday, Lynn.
You ready for your song?
Yeah, go ahead.
We're not doing that over the web.
I'm not kidding. I'm waiting. Thank you very much.
Happy birthday.
Okay, so we move on to council comments. Lynn, since you're the birthday lady.
Birthday girl. Happy girl. I actually don't have any comments today.
Drew.
Luke, you know what the timeline for the challenge trainings are?
So I ordered it the day after our council meeting, and they said 6 weeks. So we're probably still 3 to 4 weeks out on that.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is I was having dinner about 3 weeks ago in a restaurant, and one of the distributors came in, and the owner of the restaurant, not my son, introduced me to this guy, said, you know, Drew's the mayor of Clovis, and he said, I have to tell you about something. And I was expecting a negative encounter, and he was effusive with praise for some of our police officers and public works employees. And so I'm going to hold off on the recognition until I get the challenge coins. I figured it's a good inaugural thing to do, but it was a very nice experience to have someone talk about our employees in such a incredible manner. It was I walked away feeling really, really proud of, you know, the city of Clovis and its employees. So, and just on a personal update, tested again this morning. I'm still negative. I have no symptoms. I'm probably going to test again on Friday. And for those of you who are, excuse me, are interested in how to test, give me a call and I'll tell you it's actually fairly easy. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Vong?
Yeah, we attended the ribbon cutting. I didn't make the actual ribbon cutting, but I thought it was just nice to see the community out. And thanks to the chamber and to staff for working with Chanel to, you know, get her just business open again. And so I want to apologize publicly. I didn't know that line was to go in. I thought that line was to come get something from the table. So when after I finished talking with Councilmember Whalen, I just walked in, bought my stuff, came out, and I felt so bad when I saw them all waiting. And that's exactly what we don't like when electeds think like they have some privileges. So I just wanted to apologize publicly, and I feel embarrassed for that. And
I think the record should reflect that he is bright red now.
And Andy, can you share a little bit about sort of this? Is it the mask that the chamber was giving away, and how responsive the community has been with the chamber and getting that out to the community?
Yeah, so the County of Fresno reached out to us with a large supply of masks. I think our public utilities staff picked up 6 pallets worth of masks or maybe 8, and hand sanitizer. We were then asked to distribute that in the community, and the chamber was a natural partner. And they distributed 260 kits, including about 1,000 masks apiece and a significant amount of hand sanitizer to businesses and a drive-by pickup at the chamber that we co-marketed for over 2 weeks of time. So at this point, we're pretty much out of all the items, and we've let the county know if they have more, we'll take it and get it out there.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you.
Bob?
John? So when my family takes a walk down to Old Town, it's usually Saturday, we walk along the trail, and this is a picture I took of a balloon distribution person, is the best way to describe him. And he was at Railroad Park. He's very talented, and he was just giving away balloons for free for kids. And so it was a little bit of a morale boost for, you know, as you can see, a family right there with their kids just kind of going on a walk and being able to get some balloon flowers. And then next to him is actually, I think, I'm not really great on my princesses, but I think that might be Cinderella. But anyway, that's a balloon princess that he blew up and set up alongside. But they were all free balloons, and it was just a way to improve the morale of the community, and I was thankful that there was somebody in our town who was willing to step up in that manner and bring a little bit of joy to some kids and some families that were along the trail. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
And I was at just my essentials reopening. It was a great event. And Andy, thank you for corralling us and having us there on time, and the chamber for organizing that reopening. It was a great event. There was lines like down the road. I guess that's one of their best days ever. And so the community really came out for her. So that was a great event. And that's all I have. And so
Hey, Joe, can I have one more thing I forgot? Sorry.
Go ahead.
I had a birthday, so I'm getting ready to have a birthday, so like my memory might be going. I wanted just to mention that I was in touch with Nathan over the weekend, our county supervisor. I had a request from a citizen that there aren't any county testing locations in the city of Clovis. And one of the ways we're going to get this rate back down is to increase our testing access. So I sent a note to Nathan to see if the county would be interested in putting something here in our community, and I'll wait to hear back, but I'll connect with Andy or Luke on possible locations. I'm not even sure the specs for a location, but I've had a couple people say they don't want to drive to City College, et cetera. So if there's a way we can help get the numbers down by raising the number of tests and making it more convenient for our residents, that might be worth pursuing. So just wanted to mention that, and if I hear back from Nathan, I'll connect him to Luke, you, or Andy.
Hey, Joe, also, they also have they have mobile testing connected with the University of California, San Francisco, the Fresno project. So I think to Lynn's point, maybe we can find somebody we can reach out to there and have mobile testing done here. They do it throughout the county. I don't think anybody's done it in Clovis yet, so that would probably be a good thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to check out. My understanding was that was funded with City of Fresno money, so they were only doing the city, but then I've also heard they were out in the county, so I'm not sure about that. But I do think some access for our residents to get it more conveniently, if that's a possibility, we could help at least get the testing numbers up. So I'll keep you posted on what I hear back from Nathan.
Yeah, and for the record, there's testing in Clovis, but it's private testing. You have to go to your doctor. You have to go to private clinics. You're talking about public clinics.
Yeah. So because some insurance won't pay for it or whatnot. So just a way to just get more people. And, I think from the supervisor's perspective, it could serve really his entire district on the east side. So we'll see.
Yeah. One of the supervisors was saying this today, that OptiServe, which is at Fresno City, is going to have more clinics here in Fresno County. So maybe we can get one of those.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll stand by.
And Jose, the United Health Centers is right there in Clovis, and so they do a lot of those testing. And so when I went to the tour, they were willing to do something to partner with us as well. So maybe the staff can follow up with them as well. So United Health Centers does a lot of it. They did it, I want to say 2 or 3 times already at the Sikh Temple over on Ashland and 99 over there. They just did one this weekend, and so they do a lot of those.
I was thinking that could be a possible location if we could get a county testing center or the medical school or the memorial building or the senior center if it's closed again. So let's see if we can get the county's interest and then we'll go that way. And if not, maybe United Health Centers would do some free clinics on the weekend just to get those numbers up.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks. Mhm.
And with that, that concludes our meeting. We are going into closed session. And will we have any report out?
There will not be anything to report out.
Okay, so other than that, that concludes our meeting.